Hi guys, how are you? I hope you're well. Today we're making chiffon cakes and this came out so good. So I want to share this recipe with you. This is vanilla flavor and that is the outcome you should expect when making a chiffon cake. Those cracks and such lightweight because it's a sponge cake. It's very soft. It's almost like biting into air. So we are going to make this special cake in with very few ingredients. We have this is going to be oil based, yeah, so we're going to use oil and water. This is going to moisturize this cake in a most beautiful way. So some of the ingredients we're going to mix with this egg yolk and the flour, the oil, the water, you know, and the vanilla flavor. And then we're going to whisk our egg whites with the cream of tartar until they become very stiff, and we're going to fold them together, the two mixtures together. So let's get into it. I'm going to show you the mise en place, and then at the very end I'll show you how we'll whip our cream and use it to decorate our cake. Hiya guys, so our mise en place is in place and I'm going to separate this egg white and yolk. I'm using this tiny bowl to just transfer my egg white just to make sure that there's no impurity, and impurity here would be the egg yolk. When the egg yolk enters into the egg white, it doesn't whip well, so you want to make sure that you have all the yolk out. And sometimes I have dropped egg yolk inside. I do this often. I just make sure to get it all out using an eggshell. Yeah, so I want the egg yolks in one bowl and the egg white I'm going to be transferring to the mixing bowl. I want the four all in one bowl so I can have them separate to start mixing. So see, I'm always dropping these yolks, but make sure that whenever you do, you get it out, and if it breaks, just use a different egg. Don't use the same egg because it hinders the white from whipping as it should. Okay, and after this, we are going to have the egg yolks mixed in with the oil, the water, the vanilla, and the flour. And then for the egg whites, just like I mentioned before, we are going to whip that with the cream of tartar, and you want to whip until it's foamy before you add anything else. Chiffon cakes are a variation from the angel food cake, but here we include the egg yolks. Okay, so I'm adding the other ingredients into the egg yolks, and I'll just mix them together before I start on my egg white. And the egg white whipping is about the most important part of this cake. You want to get them just right because that is where you'll get the sponginess from the aerated eggs. Okay, so I'm going to just use the hand mixer in this, and this contains the 40 grams of sugar, actually 45 grams of sugar, as well as the flour, the oil, the water, and the egg yolks, as well as the vanilla. The flour I always sift before I add. This is just to get rid of any lumps that could be, and I'm going to sift here and then add, but you can always mix it together. So I'll just then fold in this flour into my egg yolk mixture, and you can whip or just mix together because you're not trying to create air here. As it is, the flour will be shortened by the presence of oil in this mixture, so no gluten or not much gluten development. So then I'm going to add the half teaspoon of cream of tartar, and then I'll whip that until it gets foamy, and you can keep checking, but we want it very, very stiff. I find that the cream of tartar gets the mixture very stiff. And we're going to add our 30 grams of sugar in thirds. So we'll add it 3 times before we finish the process of whipping. But it does go by fast, I find, and you want it as stiff as this, just to be on the safe side. The egg white mixture is so stiff, and that's how you want it. So we're going to try to transfer about a third of the mixture into the egg yolk mixture, and I find a balloon whisk is best to mix this together because it just gets the job done better than using a rubber spatula because it incorporates much more easily. You're still being careful here. You don't want to break all the air that you worked so hard to get. So once it's well mixed and the mixture is thick but still flowing, you just transfer the whole mixture or egg yolk mixture into the egg white and just work from the bigger bowl. You want to fold in, and even here you can use a balloon whisk, but you can also use a rubber spatula. It's optional, but a balloon whisk gets the job done much faster. But the idea is just to fold in the two mixtures together very well, very carefully. And we're going to use this loose bottomed tin. These are 6-inch chiffon cake containers or tins. These are the best to bake in because you don't worry about how you remove the cake from the tin, and you do not grease this as well. Do you see how that method resembles the method of baking an angel food cake? These cakes are so spongy, and the idea is to bake them without greasing the tin. Now the only variation is this, that you will knock back the air. You want to knock the tins like that on the surface to just get rid of too much air. So then we're baking at 340 Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. You need to check at some point once you see it browning. And now we check our cakes. I always press the top, and when it doesn't shrink back, I know it's done. So I'm going to overturn my cakes on these ramekins, and it's a bad idea. This was the first time I was overturning them on the ramekins facing upwards. That's a very bad idea. Your cakes are very likely to collapse. I don't understand the science behind it, but please do have if you're overturning on ramekins or glass or cups, just make sure they're facing down, yeah? And then put your cakes on top. You want it suspended so that it cools that way. So to frost our cake, I have several ingredients here, and major of which is the whipped cream. I have 2 cups of that. And I'm just going to transfer that to the KitchenAid. They'll add 2 tablespoons of sugar, and I'm going to start whipping that. But before that, I'm going to be using whole strawberries for the top part, and some sliced strawberries in between the sandwiches. And I have here 2 tablespoons of jam. This is just whipped jam, so it can spread easily. And for my tools, I have a palette knife. I have a spatula, a rubber spatula, of course. And you can either use this cake divider or cutter, or this is very easy to find anywhere in a cake shop, or you can use a regular serrated knife. I use a knife all the time, and I have here a simple cake board. Whenever you're using a cake board, it's best to use one that is 2 inches bigger than your cake. So this is an 8-inch, and the cake is about 6-inch, so it will fit in this ring. I also have a piping bag and a one of my tips, yeah, this is just a big tip. This is just for making designs on the cake, and we will use this at the very end when we're decorating. For now, let's whip the cream. Whipping cream doesn't take long, so you need to keep your eye on it, and you want to beat it until it's just firm but soft and with a good texture, because if you over whip, it will be crumbly, and you need to have it soft. And if it does dilute again, you can always whip up again. So we're taking our cakes out of the tins, and remember, this is a loose bottomed tin, so the bottom part is still stuck on the cake, but it comes off easily without breaking the cake in any way. And then we are going to remove the top layer, which is eggy, and you don't have to, but when you want a better experience, you want to just get rid of the eggy part, and you can use it if you like with and make some truffles in a glass. That's also a different and very tasty experience. So I want 4 layers out of my cake. You can make it 2 because the cake layers are not so thick, yeah, but I still want a nice size of cake. That's why I'm dividing the 2 cakes so that I have 4 layers. About a scoop and a half of the whipping cream is enough for each layer. In fact, it's a lot. If you want to use less, you can. If you want to use more, you can. You just want to make sure that you distribute the amount of whipping cream you have, throughout the cakes, so that you have enough. So I added the whipping cream first and then the jam on top, and then I will layer with some strawberry slices. But on the next layers, I will add the jam first. You want to do that because it adheres easily to the cake more than it does to the whipping cream. You don't want to have it all mixed in like that. So add your strawberry slices, and then add the next layer and add jam and spread. It spreads really nice and easy when it's in contact with the cake, more than when it's in contact with the whipping cream, because the whipping cream tends to be really, really soft. So you're going to repeat that process just like that. And I wanted a lot of whipping cream. You can consider this is a lot, yeah, just for the experience. And then you continue layering up like that. And then once you're done, we are going to do a semi-naked cake. We won't have a very thick layer on the top part. So this cake does tend to bend because it's very, very soft, yeah. So I added a stick at the center, and you can do that as well. This is just to hold all the slices together, or all the layers together, so that they don't slide off each other. Yeah, so I'm gonna wipe and just transfer to my serving dish. This is what I'm going to be using when serving this cake or when presenting it to my guests. Yeah, and I'm using the piping tip to create that effect. It's just like a tiny flower. And then top up with my strawberries. If you like, you really can make the outer layer just as thick or more decorative, and you even use a comb. So this is how it looks at the end. I like to give the cakes a photo shoot before I serve, and I'm going to cut it so that we see how it looks inside, and I'm going to test it as well. And this is one of the cakes that is satisfaction guaranteed. I suggest you try. If you really like those soft and creamy cakes, this is a good one.